Hey everybody, welcome to CSIS 1430. My name is Jeff Stone and I'm in charge of the 1430 curriculum. Now, as a student of this course, I may or may not be your official instructor. Several other instructors here at the college use this curriculum or some variation of it with little pieces of their own stuff added in and sort of a blend between what's there from me and what they bring to the table. However, whether I'm your official instructor or somebody else is, I'm going to go ahead and walk through the way the course is laid out so you have a sort of a big picture of what to expect. Just keep in mind some of the details might be slightly different if you have a different professor. Let's start with the home page. This is where you'll end up the moment you log into the course. And as you can see, there are 5 main pieces here. Piece number 1 is potentially a picture of your professor and some of their contact information. It's up to each one to decide how much information they put there. But generally speaking, there will be something there, either an email or a phone number or something for you to be able to contact them. Next up, we have the 4 main icons down there at the bottom. The one on the far left that says Start Here. I'm pretty sure you know what that one is because you're watching this video. And by clicking on that icon, you'll end up watching this video. The other 3, Course Schedule, My Schedule, and Course Overview, we'll take a look at one at a time. We'll save Course Schedule for last. If we click here on Course Overview, we just get a broad stroke overview of what this course is, hence the name Course Overview, right? It tells us a little bit about what you're going to learn and what we're going to cover, and it has the list of the modules here, and if you click on any one of these, it will take you right to the module, the HTML module, the Intro to CSS module, and so forth. So you can just read through this and click on those as you like. This is just letting you know what's kind of going on this page. Next up is the My Schedule button here. If I click on that, this just takes you to my teaching schedule or whoever your instructor's teaching schedule is. You'll say something like Spring 2020, and then on Mondays and Wednesdays I teach CSIS whatever. Here's the name of it. It starts here and ends here. It's in this building and room. The reason for this is so that if you need to schedule an appointment with me or your instructor, you can look on this page and see roughly what our availability is. If we have classes from say 10 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, then you know that you'll need to schedule before or after those times. So this is just a good little overview of our schedule so you kind of know roughly when we're available. Next up, let's take a look at the Course Schedule button. You will see a pretty detailed schedule here. Now, first thing I want to warn you about, ignore the dates you're looking at here, and maybe even ignore the names of the assignments that are here on this video, because this video was made in a specific semester, and by the time you're watching this video, it may or may not be the same semester. It might be a fall semester. You can see this is clearly a spring semester. It may be a different year. It might be a summer semester. So ignore the dates and ignore the names, because over time some of these lecture names may change and so forth. But conceptually, you need to understand a couple things here. So the first thing is, for campus students, we'll talk about the online students in just a moment. For campus students, this is a schedule. This means on January 13th that this lecture will occur, and that on January 15th this lecture will occur, and on January 20th it will be a holiday because it's Martin Luther King Day, and the 22nd, and so forth. So what's on the left of this little pipe symbol right over here will correspond to the date over on the left side of this pipe symbol. So we scroll down here, and on March 11th on the right side of the pipe, we'll be covering CSS animation. Now again, keep in mind that those dates may not necessarily be the exact same ones that you see when you go click on the course button. But whatever dates you see there, those days are the actual days of the class and of the lecture. Now, if you're an online student, there are no in-class lectures, obviously, and you don't have to do anything with dates. However, I highly, highly, highly recommend that as an online student, you stick to this schedule. So on January 22nd, on this schedule, make sure you come over here and watch this video. If you click on that, that will take you to the actual lecture, and there's a video in there, and we're going to walk through the lecture layout in just a minute. But don't feel like you can just skip this schedule and not ever look at it just because you're an online student. Because if you follow this schedule, and if you watch this lecture on this day and that lecture on that day, when your assignments come due, they're due every Sunday, you have an assignment due. When they come due, you will have been prepared because you watched the lectures of that week. So whatever assignment's going to be due the Sunday in the week of January 22nd, then you will have needed to watch this lecture probably to be able to do the assignment that's due this week. So this is, in my opinion, for both campus and online students. And as I mentioned a minute ago, make sure you click here, and this will take you to the lectures. So that's all 4 of these buttons right here. That's this whole page right here. The rest of the time will be spent in the modules tab right here. Now you can get to the modules tab by clicking on the modules that were inside the course overview, or by clicking on the exact lectures that were in the course schedule, or just go here and click on modules, and you get a really good overview of what exactly this course looks like. You can see very clearly all of the modules here. I'm going to briefly take you through the first module here, the 0th module here, module 0, and talk about a few things that are very important that you do the first day or 2 of class, the very first week, because these 3 or 4 things here will set you up for the rest of the semester. Now again, this might be slightly different from what you see in your live version of Canvas, because things change and instructors are different and so forth, but it looks something like this. So inside of here you'll see this is just the introduction section, module 0, and then there is an overview of what's in this module, and then here is the syllabus for this course and the syllabus for the school. Make sure you read those because you will be tested on them, which is what this is right here, number 2, course orientation quiz. Also, there's an extra credit assignment right here, and that is simply go in and add a picture of yourself to your profile so that when I look at the role or the people page, I can see your face with your name. This is particularly important to me if you're in person on campus where I'm going to be seeing you. It just helps me to get your names down and learn your names a little bit better. It's extra credit because it's basically you doing me a favor, so it's not required, but if you want to get a couple bonus points, that's an easy way to do it. Next up, you'll need to set up your local environment, and that is literally as simple as adding a folder to your computer that you're going to put all your projects in. The instructions are in there. There's a little bit more to it than that. Make sure you read the instructions for all of these. There's always some little extra stuff you need to make sure you read to get the assignment done correctly. For example, just adding your profile picture is not enough. You have to go in there and follow a couple instructions to make sure you get the credit. Last thing here is this, who are we? And this is a discussion forum, a little thing where you can put your picture and a little bio about yourself, some things you're hoping to gain from the course, and you can interact with other students in the course, and you'll be required to comment on other people's discussions and so forth. But all the details are in there. And again, ignore any dates you see on this video. Whatever you see in your live version, those are the dates you need to stick with, not what you see in this video. So that's the course orientation module. Let's take a look now at one of the real modules that has the real lectures and everything in it. We'll walk through a couple things there, and then we'll be done. So here's the first module, the HTML module, and you'll notice all of the modules have the same pattern here. There's an introduction section, there's the lecture notes section, and then there's the assignments and quizzes section. Here, if you click on overview, it just does exactly that. It gives you an overview of what we're going to cover in this module. If you click on the resources, it has tons and tons of links to different valuable resources that you as a web programmer will definitely be interested in. In this case, there are 5 lectures and there are 6 assignments. They're all right here with the due dates, which again will be different on your live version. Don't use the ones that are here, okay? Next up, I just want to show you kind of the basic layout of the lecture pages here. So if we pick, for example, tables and more tags, we'll just look in there. And they usually have the same kind of sections in there. For example, there's usually a lecture objectives section. There's usually a lecture section which covers or talks about some of the resources we'll be using, some of the tags we're going to be learning, or whatever we're going to be talking about. And then there's usually a video. There's almost always a video. I think there's no lecture without a video. And then in this case, there's a link to download some code that was created in the video. So it's pretty straightforward, and every single lecture is laid out something like this. Now, for those of you who are taking this from me personally on campus, when I go to the classroom, I print this page out before I go, and I bring it with me to remind me of the stuff I want to cover so I don't forget. But if you're going to be taking this just strictly online, then of course you need to read through this and you need to watch the video. And a super important note about these videos: there are several different recording scenarios that you'll run into. Some of them were recorded live in a live classroom on campus. You can hear the students in the background, maybe they're asking questions or there's interaction and so forth. Some of them are that. Some of them were recorded just for my YouTube channel before I even taught here at Salt Lake Community College, and they were just for a broad general YouTube audience. And I eventually just pulled them in, decided to use them with the curriculum here. Some of them were made in my office quietly, privately, with the door shut, with a microphone, where I can produce them and edit them more cleanly and make a better sort of quality product, if you will. And then the other kind are videos that maybe were made for a different class, but there's enough overlap that I decided to use the same video for both classes. So I said all that to tell you this. You're going to hear me say things like, the following video is for my CSIS 1030 class. Yes, it says that because the same material is covered in that class as well. So even if I say that, don't worry, it's the right video, don't panic. Also, there are some things in there where I might say this coming Monday is a holiday, or have a happy Thanksgiving or something like that, which I want you to have a happy Thanksgiving whenever that occurs, obviously. But just keep in mind that video is not necessarily tied to the semester that you're currently in when you take this course. So anything in those videos that talk about dates or deadlines or anything like that, just ignore the dates and deadlines, because it will not apply to the same dates that you have in your version of the course. All right, the last thing I want to show you is back over here in the modules. If we go back into module 1 again, and you see these several assignments here, let's just pick one, the pizza parlor contact form, for example. You're going to find with almost every single assignment, it's broken down exactly like this. There's an overview, there's a link to any lectures that we covered that would relate to the material in the homework assignment. Then there's a section called basic content, and then there's a section called additional content. All right, let's take a look at each of these. The basic content is exactly that. It's the basic raw content of what's supposed to be on the web page, and it's usually broken down into pretty decent steps. Don't worry if it doesn't make sense now. Once we get here to this homework assignment, it will have made sense by that point. But if you just follow the steps, 1 through 9 in this case, and read them carefully, make sure you follow them carefully and closely. Attention to detail is critical in this kind of work. But if you do that, then you'll have done the basic requirement of the assignment. And whatever's in the basic section here, in this case these bullets 1 through 9, will be stuff that we covered in class. It might even be some live code that we wrote in class. It might be some code that I've given you portions of the code, or code that I had you follow along, or just stuff we discussed in the lecture, or all this also would be in the lecture video. But this next section here, additional content, this is not stuff that I spoon feed you, if you will. This is stuff that makes you stretch a little bit. So in this case, I've given you 3 options here, and I'm telling you to choose at least 2 of them. And so the idea is, we didn't cover this in class. We didn't cover this in class, and we didn't cover this in class. So the whole idea is you to do a little bit of digging on your own, do a little bit of research, and figure out how would you do that. And some of it will somewhat tie to the stuff that we talked about in class, and there's just going to be a little bit of a logical leap that you have to make to go out and stretch yourself a little bit. Because after all, if we did all this in class, or I covered it all in class, and then just have you basically replicate it, well, then that's me basically doing your homework for you. So that's why we have this here, so you can stretch yourself a little bit. Then there will be a little note here about how to test everything to make sure it works. And then the submission instructions. Now, these submission instructions are very detailed, and if you miss them, it can affect your grade. So please be sure you look at them closely. And then last but not least, the rubric. And they're usually pretty well detailed out, and you just look at it. I'm not going to go through it here on the video, but I just want to make sure you know to look for it. So that's it for the assignments. That's the basic layout of every assignment. Each one will be slightly different, obviously, but that's the big picture. One other thing I wanted to quickly point out here is that this view you're looking at is a little bit detailed. When you look at the course, it's going to look slightly different. If I go into settings here, I can actually change it to student view. And when it's in student view, this is what you see. Just these few links over here. The home, the syllabus, the modules, which is the page we're on. You can look at your own grades. You can look at your classmates. And then there's this online tutoring button here if you need that. So that's it, folks. Hopefully that gives you a good overview of how to walk through the course, how to navigate it, kind of what we're expecting. So good luck this semester, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact your instructor by looking at their contact information that's hopefully on the home page. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in a future video.